Hi there. Welcome to the video version of Rubber Stamp to Digital Stamp Power Automate. I'm Mike Livingston. Again, hopefully you attended my uh, in-person version at the conference ITC 2026. It was a good time, hopefully. I'm currently in the past, but hopefully you're in the future and you were looking for more information. Uh, More than likely a conference room full of people accessing Microsoft's cloud services simultaneously might have made it difficult for all of us to follow along, especially at the breakneck pace that I had to do things at. Um, I really did try to make it all fit in the limited time that we had, and as a result, I've made this video as a resource to you, so that way it didn't matter. You would always have a way to catch back up to make sure that you were able to have something really cool to bring back home with you to be able to follow along with at your own pace. So, there's an extra gift to you. You will be able to make sure that no matter what, you can finish off that check request of your dreams and have a wonderful thing for your organization and learn from it and grow with it and make something awesome and show it off to all your work buddies at work and show how cool you are. So without further ado, let me show you how this works. All right. So again, you're going to want to make sure that you have the uh, the documents, the document with the code blocks. Those are going to be necessary. Um, Obviously, you're already at the YouTube video link. You are in the future, so that's already been populated. Don't worry about the causality here. This will change. Here is me and James Atherton. And obviously, the schedule is going to be slightly different. There's no post walkthrough this time. And the components, we're just going to kind of skip the discussion and go straight into the workshop. But yeah, again, do keep in mind the licenses. You want to make sure that you have the licenses that you need in order to complete this workshop, right? And make sure that the licenses that you have are providing the functionality, are providing the features that you need, which is going to be Power Automate, Forms, SharePoint, and if you need Dataverse for group approvals, Dataverse. We're not doing Power Apps, but you can if you want to be fancy and if you want to do some extra credit and some overachieving and get fancy with it later on your own time. That's not really part of this particular demonstration. It was originally, but I realized it would take too much time. Anyway, let me carry on. I'll come back to that in a moment. So, first things first, you need a plan. We talked about a plan before, but I need to show you that again. Let me bring up a notepad. So, you need a plan. You've got to have one. Hopefully, you already created one, but I'm going to show it here again just to make sure. So, these are going to be the things that you would put on a paper check approval. You likely already have one lying around. Maybe you can use it as a reference. Um, some of these fields, though, we can extract automatically, like a request date, for example, rather than having the person who's requesting fill that out. We can just have the automation just automatically determine, hey, what day is it today? Bam. Put in the date that the form was filled out, right? So, auto extractions. These are going to be the requester. Who is the person who's requesting this? The request date. The approver status. The approver status date. These are things for bookkeeping, right? We want to know what date did the approver do this and what is the current status? Is it pending? Is it complete? Did they deny it? Is it an error? Well, I'll cover that in a minute. The check approval. Did they get approved? Did it get denied? Is it still pending? And the check approval date. Again, great for the bookkeeping. Now, fields to input to the form. These are the ones that we're actually going to have as things that are users, the people who are going to fill out the check request. So these are the things that they're actually going to be putting in. These are the auto. These are the not so auto. So things like the description, right? What is this check request for? The amount. How much money do you need for this check? What is it for? The invoice number or the reference number. You might have a different system. I don't know. It can vary from organization to organization. Similarly, grant or funder grant code. I was losing my words. Program, approver, payee name. This is like the exact name that has to appear on the check. And we need the receipt, quote, picture, document, right? You need proof. Now, there might be other fields, right? These are the things that we're actually going to cover on this in this presentation. That's what we actually covered at ITC. But this is what I'm having you do today, right? These are the other things that your organization might require and why I need you, what I need you to write down, right? What are these things that maybe you need, right? You could need things like the pay mailing address, pay email. Maybe you need the requester's manager. One of my clients needs that, right? These are all things that if you don't write them down, it's going to be difficult for you to adapt this later. So keep this on hand. Keep this available. This will be useful to you later on, and it's going to be useful to you now as you write this down. But this will be very useful to you later as a guidance for you in adapting this form to meet your organization's specific needs. All right, so save that. We're done with it for now. Now, first things first, you need to be in whichever account you have that's able to create a SharePoint if you need to create a SharePoint. So I'm going to show you that, just in case you need that. For this organization right here, we would need to create one, right? But I actually already have one that's already created, so I'm just going to show you that. But what I would do is I would go to the N365 admin center, right? So this comes out to admin.cloud.microsoft homepage, right? And let me see here. This M365 admin center. It's going to look like this. And the goal here is we need a SharePoint site that we are confident in using for our check automation. So if you already have one that, say, you as an organization use for accounting, then you're good. You're already set. You don't need to do this. But if you don't already have one set, go to the site on a sysadmin account, admin centers, SharePoint. Perfect. And then here, we're going to go to active sites. And see here, I already have one that I'm going to use. It's check request SP. This is a site that I am going to use for my SharePoint activities. For all my check requests, they're all going to go to this site. But if you don't have one, you would create. It's going to be a team site because this is going to be all internal stuff. This is not going to be a communication site. Team site, standard team, use template, give it your name, which again for me it was check request SP, but maybe you give it a slightly different name. Give it a description that just tells you what it is for. Make sure that you set perhaps your sysadmin or your accounting as the site or as the group owner, and continue. Make sure that you add anybody who needs to be added, such as in my case, I needed to add the other account that has the necessary permissions for the products that we need for today's demonstration, and create the site. And that is it. That is creating the SharePoint site that we need for everything else today. And that's all I personally need to do with the sysadmin account. Everything else I'm going to be doing, I'm actually going to be doing on a different account that actually has the products that I need. Now, most of you probably, your sysadmin account already has all that, but it's perfectly valid for that not necessarily to be the case, right? I'm just pointing out there's more than one ways to do this. All right, so we have our SharePoint site. Note it, be aware of it. Cool. But consider copying a link to the site, saving it, whatever you got to do. Now, we're going to create a form. So, apps on your account that has all the permissions that you need, forms, SharePoint, Power Apps, or Power Automate rather, forms. Beautiful. And here, we want to make sure that under groups, we go to the group of the site that we either just created or that ideally that we're a part of, that we're going to be using, right? This is the one that we want to use. If you haven't already done that, make sure you do that now. And then we're going to create a group form. Now, for this group form, draft with Copilot, oh boy, it's terrible. It's not very useful. And you'll notice that there's no option to actually create anything unless you tell it what you want to do, unless you tell it to go away. And now, suddenly, you can tell it to come back, or now you can click this button, and now you get to bring stuff around again. Great. So, first of all, we need to get all right, let's give this the title check request. All right, and the title can be whatever title you decide that you need to give it. I'm going to give it the title, please fill out this form completely to submit a check request. Great. And now when we hit quick start, where we have all these options of what sort of form response, I'm going to click that. Text response, I am going to hit required, and I'm also going to hit these little 3 dots here. Give it a subtitle so we can put a description on our question. And yeah, from here we just fill out the questions. And the questions are going to be those items that on that notepad we noted as being the fields to input on the form. Description, amount, invoice number, fund code, program, approver, payee name, receipt, quote, picture, document. And perhaps you would also put in these things. For our for my presentation, I'm not putting in those things, but maybe you, since you're watching a video, will have some extra time to figure that out. So, description. Oh, very good. Description, subtitle is going to be what this check is for, example, software, travel, equipment, etc. Wonderful. And now, when I add a new question, it's automatically going to be filled in with the required and with the subtitle. It remembers that for future things. Wonderful. Don't have to set that every time. So next is going to be amount. Oops, I put that in the wrong spot. Amount and cost requested for this check. Lovely. Add a new question. Just going down all the little things that we put in. Invoice number or reference number. If at any time you get tired of my voice saying these things out loud, feel free to mute me or skip ahead. For precisely tracking the transaction, or if having me speak them aloud is at all helpful, carry on with me speaking them out loud. Fund or grant code. I will not be offended. I am but a recording. Accounting, fund, or grant this expense is being charged to. Great. Oh, I misspelled fund. Add new question, another text, which is going to be the case for the vast majority of these, although I will also note here, program. This probably could be, and actually fund also could be. Both of these could be drop downs if you really wanted to. I'm not going to make that happen in this case, and in particular this program one, you probably could in your automate make some logic happen off of the program. I have a client who I do that for. That is out of scope for today. But I'm noting here that if you wanted to have programs approve for themselves in some capacity and wanted to customize and automate for that, this is probably where you would start with that. Anyway, program. The organization doing the work that this is funding. New question, text, approver, email of person who needs to approve this check request. Add question, text, payee name, legal name that should appear on the check. And the last one is not going to be a text. We're actually going to click upload file instead. You can just leave it on the defaults there. And this one is going to be receipt/quote. And this is the proof of the cost being what is written above. Sweet. All right. You don't have to hit save or anything. It auto-saved. And when you want to collect responses, you click on this little button here. You can send it off to whoever needs it. We're going to be using that later. For now, though, we are going to be keeping an eye on this right here. Everything after this @ID, we need all of that. I'm going to copy it. And actually, I am going to paste it right here in that little document that we have there. Boom. That is our ID. We need that for later. All right. Wonderful. So now we need to go to our SharePoint. We need to create a SharePoint list to hold all of these items. So back at our apps, we find SharePoint. It's somewhere here. Give me a second. I'm blind. I found it. Wonderful. So there is check request SP. Again, whichever name is the one that you're using. I do want to caution, do not click this far left button for create. This will create a personal list if you try to use this here. You do not want that. That will not work for what we're doing today. You will be very upset. You need to click this button right here, New List. This will create a shared list inside of this SharePoint space. This is the one that you want, not a list form. Don't do that. That also won't work for what you're doing. You will be very sad and very upset, like me. Create list. This is what you want. List, which it, again, wants to confirm. All right, enter a name for your list. This can be more or less whatever you want it to be. I am going to give it the name of check request SP list. Great. Create. Oh, I already have one. 2. Yeah. Looks good. All right, wonderful. Now, this title right here, we could rename it, but Microsoft and internal namings is such a pain. We're actually just going to hide it, and we're just going to create fresh columns with the names that we need. Cool. So, add column, text, and we're going to add the columns that we just created. Not going to bother with the descriptions this time. Just it's okay. We don't need those. But we're going to create a description column, single line of text, save. We're going to create a text column. It's a lot of clicking. The tab doesn't work very well here. Amount, save. We're going to create a text column. Next. It's going to be invoice or reference number. Save. Text. Fund or grant or code. Save. Text. Program. Save. Forgive my capitalization. I see that on the previous one, and I'm upset about it too. Approver. Save. Next. Payee. Oh, and it didn't do it. Payee name. Save. And then for the last one, receipt quote, it's not going to be text. You'd think it, but you actually need multiple lines of text. Text isn't big enough. You need multiple. And this one also isn't just going to be receipt or quote. We're actually going to put receipt quote link. Add the link there. It's just trust me. It'll make things easier for you. Because we're not just dumping the whole file there. We're actually dumping a link to it. Now we're also going to add the auto-generated items. And these aren't just going to be text. First, we're going to add a person. This is going to be the requester. And this is the person who submitted the check request. Wonderful. That comes with a lot of extra information. Next, we're going to do a date and time. Wonderful. This one is the request date. Save. Next, we're going to do a choice. This one is the approver status. All right, and for the choices, we're going to put in 4 choices, actually. It's going to be pending, approved, denied, add a 4th choice, error. All right, and what this is it is the status of the approver in the check request process. Okay, save that. Now, if we have an approver status, we also want to know when that happened. as you may recall from our handy-dandy little auto extractions area. Oh my gosh, there's the, where is it? Approver status date. That's what we're going to put next, isn't it? So, approver status date, and that is date the approver approved or denied this check request. Wonderful. Save. All right. Up next is going to be another choice. This one is going to be the check approval status. And this one is going to just be the 3. We're not going to bother with error. We don't need that here. But this one is pending, approved. You see, the tab doesn't really work for it. I keep trying, and it just doesn't. Denied. And we are at the overall. How do you spell overall? Anyway, it's 2 L's. Overall status of this check request. Save. And then we have date and time as a final option. And this is the check approval date. This is the final field. Simply date this check was approved or denied. Wonderful. Now, this is all we're going to do here. We don't actually have to come back here, but it can be fun to come back and see the little fields get filled up. It's like, oh, look at them. Just as an example, just while I'm here, I could show you the one of the other ones, seeing how they get all filled up with items. Wow, look at all that. Seeing how they work. It's neat. You can see how it functions. All right, but that's all we're doing there. Now, it's time. It's time for the main event. It's time for us to actually go to Power Automate. Buckle up. Here we go. Open up Power Automate. We're going to hit Create. We're going to do an automated cloud flow. It's going to be when a new response is submitted, and we're going to give it a name. Personally, my preferred naming format is I give it a name that's sort of the class, like what it's supposed to do, or like where it fits in, I guess you could say, almost like a folder. So check requests, on form save, which is the trigger when a new response is submitted. So when a form is saved, and then send approval emails, which is the response, right? So name, trigger, response is my personal naming convention. Name it however you like. Create. And here we are. So this is the UI. That's what you're looking at. You can left click to drag around. Click on these little guys. These are cards. They each contain things, and this is where we start. This is going to start with some stuff that, well, this isn't helpful. We don't need any of this. It's giving us some forms that aren't the ones we're looking for, actually. But the one that we are looking for, we saved. Copy that over. Enter custom value. Paste. There you go. Next, we are going to hit that little plus arrow underneath it, and we are going to create a new card underneath. Ooh. All right. Oh, and also, you might actually, I'm sorry, I forgot. You may actually, before you get here, you maybe need to hit this change connection button. You just have to do with this, maybe add new, sign in, all of that. I forgot to mention that. That just might have to be a new thing that you had to do. Anyway, now hit this new button, and then we're going to do get response details. Right there. Get response details. You'll notice there was also a get form details, but that's not what we want. We want the response details. For the form ID, we're actually going to do the exact same thing. Custom, and put in the same URL we just did. But for the response ID, we're actually going to go to this little lightning bolt. Enter data from a previous step. Click on it. It pops up with this thing, and there's only one option available. It's this, response ID. Click on it, and what that is doing is it's going to suck information from that previous step right there and plug it into right there. Now, get very used to doing this early and very often. Right up here, click that save button. We're going to do that. Wonderful. That is your first save. Okay. Now, this is about as small as a flow can get right now, but it doesn't really do anything. It's just triggered, and then it's just pulling information to form, but it's not actually doing anything. So let's do something with that information. We're going to store that information in a SharePoint list. We're going to do a new option. We're going to do a create item. This is going to be SharePoint, create item. Now for the SharePoint site address, it's going to be whatever the address is that you chose. For me, it's the check request SP. And the list name is going to be whichever one you made just now, which again, I have several. The one that I made today is this one, check request SP list 2. For the advanced parameters, you can go ahead and just show all and then purge which ones you don't need. We don't need this first one and then this second one. Great. Now we're down to the hard tags. Description. Well, I'm going to pull again from a previous step. I'm going to pull from this get response details information that we got from this that's pulling information from the form. Well, I want that information. I'm going to take it and throw it into SharePoint. Hey, look at that. Description. I want that. Amount. Look at that. I want that. Invoice reference number. Wouldn't you know it? I want that. Funder grant code. Don't mind if I do. Program? Sounds great. Approver? How about an approver? Payee name? Well, let me see if there's some more options. There sure is. Receipt or quote link. Don't be fooled, receipt or quote. That's actually going to put a link. Requester name. Now, things get a little interesting. It's only giving me this option right here, but I'm actually going to click enter custom value. And when I do, it still has the little lightning bolt here. It's showing up off screen a little bit. Still click it. See more options. And responder's email is going to work here. That is what we want. That is going to be the person who requested. Request date, again with the little lightning bolts option. Submission time. Hey, that's perfect. Approver status. Well, this is now pending. The approval process has started. We don't need the date. This hasn't been approved yet. Check approval status value. This is pending. It hasn't been approved yet. And we don't need the date, and we don't need this content ID. Perfect. I'm going to take that, and we are going to save it. Perfect. All right. time for a creation of a new item. This is going to be an initialize variable. Right there. The variable name is going to be attachment array. And it is going to be of type array. Don't need to put a value in. Looks good. Underneath it is going to be another thing. It's going to be called parse JSON. JSON is not spelled how you think it is. That is how it is spelled. Perfect. And this is going to be pulling data from a previous step again. It's going to be that link from before. Remember when I said putting in link is going to be super helpful? Well, receipt, quote, link. If you didn't put in link, look for your receipt or quote or whatever. But we want that to put that in content. And now you need to put in for schema your first block of code. All right. Now, for the schema, we're actually going to need to reference that handout that I gave you. Hopefully you have that handy. Again, the YouTube video link. You're in the future. You're in the video. Don't worry about it. But for the JSON, we're going to grab this very first block, copy that, swap over to our flow, and we're going to paste that into here. Beautiful. Hit save. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, now, down we go. Oops. There it is. All right, we're going to create a new apply to each. All right, this is going to use an output from the previous step, and this is going to be data, and you're going to click body. It's parse JSON body. Don't worry about the Badger token, body. Perfect. That's it for that, and then we're going to put two things inside the apply to each. All right. First, we're going to do a get file content from. All right, so SharePoint get file using, isn't it? Get file content using, not get file content from. Get file content using path. So SharePoint get file content using path, not get file content. Get file content using path. All right. So again, check request SP is our site address or whatever site address you used, right? And our file path, we are going to copy and paste file block 2. So again, I hope you have your code block available. I'm going to copy that. Going to paste that. And hopefully earlier, your form, you named it exactly check request, right? When you're naming it, you need to make sure that it is named check request, or this part will not work. If you have given it a different name, right? If you've named it check request SP, or you've given it a different name, I will note right now for your error handling, you can rename this to match whatever name you gave your form. Just a helpful little bit for you. But for our purposes, that's what you have. All right. So we've copied and pasted that. We're going to click save. Wonderful. We do this. We're going to do an append to array variable, not string, array. Name is attachment array. There's only one option. And hey, wouldn't you know it, we're actually going to be doing code block 3. copy that. Swap back over. Paste these into there. And save. We are now done with this apply to each. We don't need it anymore. We can exist outside of it. And we are going to do a search for users. Search for users is prone to failure. I do not love that we have to use it. We are going to just do our best with it. Now, what we are putting into it is approver. Ideally, when you did your forms, and I am just now recalling that in this tutorial, I forgot to have you do it, but approver, you would typically, and I can do it right now. What? Oh, I just didn't set restrictions on any of these. Okay. Well, approver right here, you should set this as a restriction to an email. Approver should be set to a restriction of an email. And the reason for doing that is pretty simple. It's a pain. It's terrible, the process of making it so that way it as it is, what we're going to do to error handle search for users is going to take a little bit extra. It's just trust me on this. Sorry, that was a tangent because I forgot to do a thing. This will be fine. I apologize. All right, approver. We've got our approver. We put in the search term. That's great. Wonderful. We're gonna All right. I know we didn't really do anything yet with that, but we are saving because we're about to do something interesting. So scope, and then above the scope, not below it, as usual, above the scope, we're going to right-click, yes, allow, because we're going to need that later. Add a parallel branch. And then we're going to add scope again. And now these two scopes are going to exist side by side, but in absolute opposition to each other. Right now in harmony, but we're not going to keep the harmony for long. Click on settings on the second of the two scopes, so the right of the two. Make sure that you have the right of the two selected. Click settings. Open up the search for users. Click these three options and then unselect the green option. Now it'll go down this path if it successfully finds a user, and it will go down this path all other times. Save. We've created an if-else statement using some of the built-in features for search for users. Cool. Inside of this scope, we are going to do a thing. We're going to create an update item. Update item. There will also be update items, I believe, but you don't want that. Check request SP. List name. Again, whatever your list name is. I have a bunch. You probably don't. ID. I'm going to use create item ID. And advanced parameters. I need these four. You need these four. Approver status value, approver status date, approver check approval status value, check approval date. And here's what we're going to do. Approval status value is going to be error. Check approval status value is going to be denied. And then for the approver status date and check approver date, we are going to go to our code block, grab code block 4, and paste that in to both of those. And that did not paste incorrectly. Hello? Uh-oh. That's interesting. Now why did you do that? Oh, it lost the parentheses. I'll have to fix that later. Your document will have the parentheses, but for some reason, my version of the document did not save with it. But you exist in the future, which is perfect and beautiful, and I exist in the bad, stinky past. I see what happened. Don't worry, don't worry. Your future is bright and glorious and fine. Um, I see what happened now. All right, great. Do do do. Let me just fix this. All right, there you go. And then re-add you. Where'd you go? Perfect. So, again, you're going to grab those from there. They will be better than this. It'll have parentheses at the end. And you will copy and paste those into there. Great. Hit save. Okay. And then we're going to add another item directly underneath that. And this is just going to be essentially a confirmation email of, hey, something went wrong. You need to fix this. Or just a confirmation of, it's just a very quick confirmation. All right. This is going to be a send email. We need to hit this little gear icon because it just wants you to hard code the. We want dynamic content. All right. So you have to hit the gear to enable dynamic content, which means now we can hit this. Right. We want the requester email. The person who requested this, we want their email. And I'm going to put in a semicolon and also sysadmin, right? Sysadmin at WayneCharities.org. And maybe you'd also want to semicolon send it to accounting or whoever else, right? Just make sure that there's a semicolon or a comma space between each email or it won't work, all right? The subject failed to find approver. I'm going to put in dynamic content approver, just because that's the email that they put in, right? Failed to find approver. Failed to find approver. Please check your spelling and try again. Very good. And then something else that I'd like to do, I like to use the ID. So this will be check request ID. This is just a nice way to disambiguate between the different check requests, especially if you're looking internally to try and see what went wrong. But yeah, check request ID was denied because system failed to find an approver. Or potentially a different thing. You would maybe create different cases for timeout or skipped, but in our case, we're just going to do this. All right, and you could make even more robust error messages if you want, but we're just going to keep it very simple. That is all we are doing for this scope. Save. Now, we're going to go to the left scope. What do we do when we successfully find our user? Well, we need to send them an approval. Finally, we're doing it. What is an approval? Well, my dear viewer, it is an email. Yeah, it's just an email, but it's an email with options. So I can just type in options, send email with options. What is options? It's an interactive email. So once again, we're going to hit that little gear icon, enable dynamic content. And when I do that, I can now do this. And from that search users, I want to find email. We're just sending this to them. It's going to put it in a for each. Don't worry about it. It's ugly. I don't like it, but it needs it in order to work. There are ways around it, but we're not going to do that. Subject. I'm going to change the subject here to check request approval, right? And our options are going to be approve, deny. Make sure you get the spelling right and make sure there is a comma separating those. And then, advanced parameters, I'm going to add in the body and I'm going to add in the attachments. For the body, this is where you're going to put in like all the information that the person would look at to make sure that, hey, yeah, this looks correct, right? This is a correct. Yeah, I like this, right? So, please review the details of this check request and click either approve or deny. Or deny. So, requested by, and then again, we're just going to use the dynamic content to fill out this, right? I'm going to use the create items stuff. This is all stuff that's coming straight from the SharePoint. The great thing about way Power Automate works is we can very, very safely use SharePoint. All right. So the requester's display name was requested by this person. Description. And instead of scrolling all the way down there, I'm just going to type in description. Hey, there it is. Description. Amount. I'm going to hit this. Type in amount. There it is. Bam. Invoice. I'm going to type in invoice. Bam, there it is. Fund. I'm going to type in fund. Bam, there it is. Program. I'm going to type in program. Bam, there it is. And payee. Type in payee. There it is. Now, we're not going to give them the link to the attachment. We're going to give them the attachment. Now, to do that, we don't click on this. We're actually going to click on this. Switch to input entire array. I know it's a scary looking button, but all we do, you click this button, attachments array, you're done. I've done all the work for you. Save. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, now we are actually going to stay inside of this for each loop. We need to do something based on what response this person, your approver, does, if they approve or they deny. All right, we need to do something. So what we need to put in is a branch, or rather, it's not called a branch in this. Sorry, I'm thinking of it. It's called a condition. So, condition. And again, first part, we're going to put in a data from previous step. And the data from previous step is going to be from the send me email with options, body selected option. What is the user response? And we want approve. Be very careful here to make sure you spell it exactly how you spelled it from the send email with options. Approve. Don't accidentally put in approved and then wonder why it's not working. Approve should match approve. Great. We have done it. Now, I'm going to take this guy right here, and I'm going to copy that action. And I'm going to paste that action. I'm going to paste that action. Because this is all I want. I want these things, but I'm just going to modify it slightly. If it goes down this way, it's not an error anymore. He just denied it. Our approver, they just They just said no. There wasn't something wrong. They just said no. And if it goes down this way, our approver, they actually approved. And the check has been approved. So those are our changes to our conditions, and we are going to save this. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so that's the branches. And now we are actually going to exit the for each loop. Just to kind of help with that, you can collapse this little arrow right here. Collapse the for each loop. I'm going to click this little button right here. We're going to do a new get item. We are actually almost done. 2 more things, and we are done. Now, we need get item, not get items. Get item, singular. Get item, site address, check request SP, or whatever one that you have. Again, you might have chosen a different name. List, whatever your list was. You might have had a different name. ID, I use the create item ID, and that's it. That's it for that one. Save, you do need to save here. Make sure that this is saved. Last step. Send email. Send email v2. This is the confirmation. This is the receipt that this is a successful check request. So you want to make sure that you are sending this to all parties involved. Use dynamic content. Oops. Use dynamic content. So obviously this needs to be sent back to the requester, right? We are going to send this to the email of the approver. So that's going to come from the search. Oops, and don't do like what I just did and forget to put a semicolon between them. Make sure you put a semicolon. I'm going to also sysadmin at WayneCharities.org. Make sure that Wayne Charities is included in this. And then maybe you need to put accounting in there, or maybe you need to put, whoever else needs to be included in this, you do that here. All right. And here is how I would structure this email. All right. So check request for, I'm going to put in dynamic content, and this is, I'm going to put in the description. So the heading actually has a description of what it was. Check request for office supplies. Check request for software. Check request for whatever it was, or actually, I could have put a colon. Check request for whatever, and then what is the approval? Check approval status value. Check request for office supplies. Denied. Approved. What have you. Right? Check request ID was, and then I'm going to grab, just to kind of mix things up, we're going to grab the approver status value, just so that we have both of them, was approved or denied on date, check approval date, by, and then once again, we need the name. This is the name of the person who approved or denied it, right? And then we need all the information again. So it is going to be actually the same information that we got from up here, which you could copy and paste, but it's not going to work if you do. You do need, like, if you copied and pasted over here, it won't work because they're inside different scopes. So you're better off just rewriting it. So requested by, I'm just going to type in name, requested by display name, Description. Description. At this point, I'll actually show you a keyboard shortcut. So amount. So you'll notice, like, you can click on this, but it also says you can start adding data by typing in the backslash character. So if I do that, it gives me the insert dynamic content prompt. So yeah, now I can start doing that. Amount. Lovely. And it's a thing. Don't worry too much about it as you're learning, obviously, but just pointing out they exist. Those are things. Invoice. Invoice a reference number. But I am gonna like manually click just so that way there's extra time. Gives you lots of time. I'm pretty comfortable with it as well. Program. Payee. Great. All right, and then finally, the attachments. We do need to have the attachments again, but like before, we're just going to click the switch to input array, dynamic, attachments array. That's it. The work is done. We hit save. Da 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 da. It's done. Let's test it. So, I'm going to do so. Go to our form here, collect responses, copy link, open up in a new page. Great. Gonna call it first test. First test. Okay, sure. First test. Approver. I'm just gonna make the approver sysadmin at Wayne. And I will give you my business card as a file upload. Yeah, looks good. Great. All right. Now, if I open up the Wayne Charities account, should see this pop up shortly. Oh, I spell Wayne Charities wrong. Sysadmin at waynecharities.org. I may have spelled it wrong. Let's just sysadmin at Wayne Charities. Yeah, let's try again. All right. Well, second. Doot, 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 doot. And see, this is why we do it this way, is just to make things easier. In fact, actually, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna have Selena be the approver, just to make things easier on myself. Second, and go. Right. So, I mean, the whole process, again, the search, Microsoft's search functionality is just not. Oh, nope, it failed to find again. Ruh-roh. So, I might as well show you how this works. So if I hit back, I can show you the runs, how this failed, and show you what went wrong. Get file content using path. Action failed. So it failed right here, and then it went this way. Not found. What was not found? File not found. Interesting. Oh, is it, I bet you I know what it is. File content using path by byte. Check request. If I go and look at SharePoint, and so this might be what I was talking about before with the file path, I would be willing to bet check request SP. And I hate to just have this happening live on here, but, you know, or live, air quotes. So this is where your files actually end up going. Untitled form. Check request 1. Ah! Well, that explains it. All right. Well, noted. You will not have this problem. This is a problem it gives exclusively to me because I am using the same environment over and over and over again, which you're not supposed to do. You will not experience these horrific problems that I am experiencing. So check request 1, huh? Is that what we're dealing with? Sorry, I just have to double check. Check request 1. Yep. Update. Great. Save. So because there was already a check request, when I created this form, all right, noted. I'll have to keep that in mind for my live demonstration. That's a pain. All right. All right. I should really write that down. That's frustrating. Okay. Microsoft things. What can I say? All right, let me get back on track. I apologize for the sidetrack there, folks. Just, you know, you get to see me debugging live there. But again, you will not experience that. For you and your purposes, you will not have to change any of that. Those copy and paste should work just fine. But if you do happen to run into any issues, that maybe should give you a little clue into where you need to make some changes. Hopefully, though, you do not have to make any such changes. All right. But again, let's submit another response. Let me show you what it looks like. Copy, paste, paste, and this is why we do the tests. Just make sure that things are working. I'm gonna grab the Selena email again. Copy, paste, third, upload, throw in my business card again. Submit. Okay. Should work this time. And I never opened Outlook. Yep. And here it is. It worked. And you can see there's the business card approved. Please review. The details. Requested by. There's all the things. Payee is third. Program third. Fund third. There's all the information. Right? I approve. Thank you. Response has been registered. And then, in a moment, it will send. There it is. Here is the receipt. Check request 3 was approved. Check request for third, which was the description that I put, approved. There's all the things, and it sent a copy of that also to System Administrator. So it is working as expected. All right. Now then, let me show you real quick. For those of you who have Dataverse enabled, let me show you how to convert this to doing a proper approval. If you need to do a group of approvers, right? Because this only actually works if you want to send it to one person at a time. The best and also the worst thing about Power Automate is that each of these steps are non-negotiable, right? Power Automate will not move forward until it has completed the step previous. This means that the data is very safe. This means that as far as it working with online data, as far as it working with SharePoint, you're able to use SharePoint liberally as a data source. It's awesome. You don't have to do so much of the data validation and data safety and worry about throttling, all these things that you normally have to worry about. None of it. But also, this, if you tried to send it to 5 different people, will not move on to the next step until all 5 people respond. And hey, maybe that's what you want, but probably not. So we're going to talk about using Dataverse and using Microsoft approvals. So our first step, our first step is actually going to be we need to create another variable. So I'm going to copy this guy right here, and we're going to paste him. And it's going to be renamed attachment array approval, because we need a new shaped array. We're going to need 2 arrays. Don't worry, it's just slightly confusing. I'm handling the most complicated part. It's everything's fine. Don't worry. All right, now under here in the apply to each, we're going to add a new step. This is going to be another append to array. Yep, append to array variable. We're going to target the attachment array approval, and we are looking for block 5. Ooh, come on. Come to me. There it is. Back we go. That all goes into there. Great. Go ahead and hit save. Awesome. Now, over to the scope. Inside of the for each, you can just do it above or below this send email. I choose to do it above. We are going to add the approval, right? And the approval is called start and wait. Start and wait for approval. Gives you a bunch of options. You can choose which one you want. I think first to respond is generally appropriate, but maybe your organization wants a different one. If you do wait for all responses, you might as well just stick with the email. If you're just going to use wait for all responses, that's basically the same thing. So approve, reject, first to respond. And then you're frankly going to be using a lot of the same information that we were just using. You can, frankly, you can kind of copy and paste it, right? Like this is a check request approval. That's the title. This is going to be assigned, use dynamic content, presumably to a group. And you as an organization, you might decide that you do not want to use the approver, right? Like we have in our form this approver that you're searching for, and maybe you don't need that anymore. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm not removing that just for the problems and the re-engineering that causes, but maybe you don't want that anymore. I don't know. But I'm going to keep that included, but maybe you're sending this to a group of approvers, right? For my purposes, I'm just going to send this to 2 people. I'm going to send this to whoever this was assigned to, and also to sysadmin at waynecharities.org, right? So this becomes a group. Am I spelling it right? No results. Okay. Oh, that's because I'm not sysadmin at waynecharities.org. Great. All right. And then details. Details is the body, right? So we're actually are going to copy and paste this. Unlike before, you do not have to rewrite this whole thing. We can just copy and paste that. Advanced parameters. Attachments is the only one we want. And as before, click on this. Bam. But we don't want attachments array. We want attachments array approval. We want the approval version. Looks beautiful. Hit save. We're almost done. Perfect. Our condition. We need to change our condition. This is no longer going to use the send email condition. Remove that. Click somewhere. It's going to freak out for a moment. We're going to change the dynamic on this to, instead of caring about send email, we're going to have it care about start and wait for an approval. We want the outcome. That's it for that. We now no longer need this send email with options. Right click, delete. Yes. Need that out of here. That will update these options. That is it. Hit save. It's time to test it. All right. Submit another response. This will work on just the exact same form, but now the form's functionality is different. So, approval test 1. I'm going to copy that. Bam, 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 bam. And I am going to grab Selena's email again. Put that there. Upload file. And I'm actually going to grab the Power Automate handout that we're working with, just to show that other things work. This is going to be a little bit inception-y, but sure. Great. Now, the approvals tend to take a minute to spin up and to get sent. They take a little bit longer than the send email with options, so it might genuinely take a full minute till we send these, but they're going to get sent to both emails here, and how it behaves is very interesting. We'll see them in both emails, and they will change. They're actually very dynamic. When one of them responds, the content of both of them will change to say who responded and be like, hey, it's already done. You don't have to do anything. So if, for example, I respond in Selena, Wayne Charities will no longer need to respond, and vice versa, right? And really, I'm just talking right now to fill the space because approvals takes a minute. If approvals, like if your approvals are time sensitive in the matter of seconds, then I don't recommend using approvals, and I recommend sticking with the emails because they genuinely do take quite a bit longer. I don't think anybody needs them to work that much faster because that would be crazy. But yep, here we are. It is crazy how slow they are, though. It is it does make me feel insane. And every once in a while this happens and I feel like it is running, right? Yeah, and it is running. I get paranoid. But it is running. It is running. They just genuinely do just take this long. To get yourself something to drink. Some thoughts. Oh, hey, there it goes. Okay. So, this is what it looks like. You'll notice a very similar UI to what we saw on the other end. You get the approve, reject, right? They appear on both screens, approve, reject. An extra thing, you get a comment. I approve, which also is information that you can ingest and put in the SharePoint. We're not doing that today. But I hit submit. The Selena account right now has just hit approve. And then after a moment, this is actually going to change this one. We just actually click over. Bam! Others have already completed this request. So this no longer has to do anything. But you can see that content is still there for the request. And here is the receipt. That is all completed. And yeah, that should be everything that you need to know. Final closing thoughts. Yeah, it was a pleasure teaching you guys, I'm sure. I mean, I am in the past, so, but that's just my guess, my assumption. Uh, Originally, this was planned to be taught using Power Apps instead of these forms. The forms obviously are very limiting. One of the biggest one is not being able to use claims. That's one that I severely don't like. You saw partway through one of the errors that this flow is just naturally prone to as a result of the forms. And I had to choose forms just to save time, and it still takes a very, very long time. If you are interested in upgrading, being able to swap to using an app is a strong recommendation, but there is definitely a time and therefore money investment involved in that. But it would mean a much more robust and more powerful experience for you and your users. Um, yeah, that's all. Don't forget to be awesome. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.